KTGR, The Big Show, starts now.
You bet it does. Welcome into Friday's edition of The Big Show on your Total Sports Station, KTGR. Andy Humphrey and Brendan Schaefer, who is waving on YouTube and Facebook right now, on the road to Nashville. And the game face is already on. Like I can sense it from him. It's like,
oh, I can sense it. I hope you can hear me because I can certainly sense it. And let's see, we're how many hours away? Less than 24 hours away from kickoff now. So get psyched.
Yeah.
This traffic, though, I'll tell you, of all the big shows in the car we've done, this might be the worst traffic we have seen. But we're getting there. Yeah, it's just the slowdowns, the construction. It gets you every time.
So we'll go through all that. This will be an interesting big show. So we'll go through our predictions for Mizzou and Vandy. We'll have our picks of the week as always. We'll have our SEC rooting guide, Rob Veno of WagerTalk.com. So on Friday, our same usual shenanigans, just added with vehicular travel.
The fact that I can do this while driving is the most impressive part.
He's not driving for people who are on the radio listening and can't actually see.
That's right. They can't all see me. That's right.
No, they can't all see you. Call or text us here at 875-KTGR. You can also tweet at us at KTGR Big Show. And you can see the show. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel at KTGR Sports and also on Facebook at facebook.com/KTGR Big Show.
Now, the Big Show's big deal.
Yeah, the Tigers and Commodores are squaring off in 22 and a half hours from now at First Bank Stadium in Nashville. Top 15 matchup, the second top 10 opponent that Mizzou has faced over their last 3 games, and trying to keep the success over Vanderbilt going. They've won 5 straight against the Commodores, and they're looking for their 3rd straight win in Nashville against Vanderbilt. And of course, we all know Vanderbilt's rise certainly has been impressive this year, and they're 2.5-point favorites heading into this weekend. Meanwhile, the Chiefs getting set for Monday Night Football, taking on the Commanders next Monday night. No Josh Simmons once again. No Trey Smith at practice, second straight day that he has missed with a back injury. Kareem Hunt did return in a limited capacity with a knee injury. And that is the Big Show's big deal on this 24th day of October 2025. You can call or text us here at 875-KTGR if you want to weigh in with your score predictions for Mizzou and Vandy coming up tomorrow. I mean, highly anticipated by Brendan. Like with the type of game that it could have been, Brendan foresaw it better than we all did.
Thank you. Thank you for the credit.
But either way, still was going to be a seminal moment for Mizzou's season no matter what. I think if you had gone through this year and Vanderbilt, maybe they took a loss against LSU, or maybe they didn't get that first win against South Carolina. Maybe they're sitting with a record that we usually expect Vanderbilt to have, but clearly they're deserving of what they've got at this point. This was still going to be an important game for Mizzou to get based on the personnel that Vanderbilt has at their disposal, particularly the quarterback, and that you go on the road to that stadium where, look, Mizzou has had success before, but every so often Vanderbilt has been able to play very well at home against Mizzou, no matter who the coach is. Eli Drinkwitz hasn't lost here yet, but we'll see what it looks like for this moment, because Mizzou's road games were always going to be, I think, a little more difficult based on the time of year that they came. And now that we're here, and Mizzou's a 2.5-point underdog, so they got to at least prove a few doubters wrong.
Yeah, I mean, when we did our preseason predictions, I don't think we would have looked at this game, for like a 9-10 win. This was one that you would have said, okay, you have to put that and not
Oh, man, Brendan. Oh, we're losing you, Brendan. I'm sorry. Sorry, we lost you there, Brendan. It was a little bit robotic from you. We'll get you in just a second. It was right at the moment when he was giving his great analysis that he always does. But let's try again. I can see you moving a little bit better.
Yeah, we're going to give it a go.
Oh, no! And then he goes out just like that. Oh, man. What a big show that we've started out with today. It's all fun. It's all fun and games, folks. Call or text us at 875-KTGR if you want to weigh in on Mizzou and Vanderbilt with your score predictions or your whatever else you think might happen in this game. Look, I'll be interested to see what Rob Veno has to say about this one. We talked a little bit about the total the other day. It's about 53 and a half in most places. And so when we're looking at which defense will actually have success, if either, maybe it is a game where both teams just go back and forth. They trade touchdowns, they trade scores. I don't think either team will have trouble moving the football, maybe getting into scoring situations. It could come down to red zone, who will be more efficient there and is able to have a better time punching in their chances. That's where Mizzou, maybe if they have the run game going, that is where they could maybe have an edge for a game like this. So I think it is crucial, not just for the fact that Mizzou needs to have the offense necessary to keep up and the yardage necessary to keep up with one like Vandy, but it's also just the aspect of being able to finish off drives. And usually that requires having a run game that is sufficient, that is effective, that is dangerous to other defenses. And so it's the key for Mizzou to really stay in this game. Now, you can talk a lot about how to defend Diego Pavia, how to do all of this, but Mizzou's offense needs to keep pace, because I think you can reasonably expect Vanderbilt to at least get above 20, 24 points, but probably even get above that. And so Mizzou's offense is going to be so key to have to match whatever Vanderbilt brings to the table, and we'll see if they can do that. Brendan's coming in on the phone now. Brendan, you there?
We'll try every different which way I can to give my score prediction today.
Hey.
But I agree with what you're saying. When it comes to the offense, like, this isn't a kind of game that we expect to be low-scoring defensive struggle like the Auburn game was. You know that Vanderbilt's going to hit its big plays, and it's about for the defense just getting up and playing the next play. Maybe Andy holding them to 3 more than 7 on occasion, because, yeah, Diego Pavia is going to get this team into the red zone. Can you make them kick a field goal once or twice when they don't really want to? And then on the Mizzou side, can they run the football better than we've seen them do over the last couple of games, in particular in the Auburn game, when they insisted, hey, we're going to run the ball, and you just didn't have very much efficiency doing it. That's going to be a big question. In addition to, what does Bo Perbula do after 2 games in which we've kind of seen in fits and starts him make plays, but he's also made mistakes in those spots too.
It is interesting what kind of game Pavia might play, because look, there was a game where Alabama did pretty well against him, but he still got a certain amount of yards. I just think when he gets down near the red zone, the important thing from Mizzou's defense is to, I think almost at that point, bend, don't break, try to force field goal attempts as much as possible, because I think you are going to be giving up a certain amount of yards to Diego Pavia. So that's where this game could be won or lost. It could be the difference between whether it goes over or under. It could be both of those things, but it's just the path to victory for Mizzou here. Your run game does have to be on point. It needs to show up again, essentially. It didn't show up against Auburn last week. It needs to show up, be a factor, something that Vandy thinks about every single play. Are they going to run it? Is this Ahmad Hardy guy going to break off another? You have to have them constantly thinking about what could potentially happen with him and whether Mizzou is throwing them off balance to that point. But it's also realizing that Diego Pavia is going to make some plays, but make sure he doesn't make the last one. You have to make sure that he is out of the end zone as much as possible. That's when you get down inside the 20, 15-yard line, that your defense is strengthening up, being able to force those field goal attempts or those tough situations where maybe they go for it on 4th down, but your defense comes up with a big play. It really does come down to Mizzou's red zone defense more so than anything else when we're talking about how they can stay.
I think I mentioned it earlier in the week. It feels like this is a game that comes down to fourth down because you can't force an opposing coach to bring his kicker onto the field. I think we will kind of quietly celebrate if it happens because in those spots when you can limit them to 3 points, you kind of do take that as a win. That is really the epitome of bend, don't break as a defense in a game like this one where you expect points to be scored. But I tell you what, in that Alabama game, it came true. They had a 4th and 7. They scored on that 4th and goal. Feels like how Mizzou does on fourth down defensively and probably offensively too. We know the situation with Robbie Meyer. There's not necessarily the confidence you would have had in your kicker if it were Blake Craig. That's just a reality of having a true freshman in the position. So where the fourth down situations fall could also be pretty significant in the outcome of this game.
So we'll see what happens with how both teams decide to play it. Call or text us with your score predictions for Mizzou-Vandy tomorrow, 573-875-KTGR. Adam says, these are some bold takes. The defensive ends come up huge. 4 sacks on the day.
No. Don't start talking like that. Wait a second. I don't know if that's a noble goal for the Missouri defensive ends.
Vandy, just for context, they have given up 5 sacks all year.
All year. 5 sacks. This guy, I think we've called him a magician all week long. I don't want to go in there thinking, hey, we've got to get X amount of sacks because I think that's where you can get yourself into trouble against this quarterback.
Very well could. Adam says we keep them in 3rd and longs, which Diego will struggle. Hardy is back 34-17. Good guys. Wow. That'd be blowout territory almost. If you hold Vandy to 17, my gosh, Corey Batoon, hang a banner for that man.
There's no way that happens, right? Like they're going to score. They're going to put up points.
I think they will. It comes down to how many did they score against Alabama?
I think it was 17 against Alabama. You'd have to get the research team on that.
At least it's possible, but I still can't see it happening with how much Vandy can move up and down the field. They'll be in chances to score pretty much all day, but it just comes down to, can you cash in more of your chances offensively, turn them into touchdowns, and then on the other end, can you convert your 4-point plays, just shave off the point total as much as you can for Vanderbilt when they get down to those spots. It'll be very key. Daniel texting in, 34-27. Mizzou gets the run game back on track and gets some key passes against the Vandy secondary. That's another thing. Like we focus a lot on Ahmad Hardy and getting a run game back going, and that's going to be key. But this is another game that Bo Prabula might have to win with a few key throws in some tough stretches. Whenever you go on the road, you have to find ways to get some key plays going to your receivers, and that'll be Bo Prabula's task.
And he did it at Auburn. I know we don't think about that game being a great one for him, but if you think back to some of the throws specifically late, I don't think Mizzou wins the game without his performance in those moments. And obviously we talked about it too, just somebody had to be the one to punch it into the end zone in the second overtime, and that ended up being Bo Prabula. So yeah, I do think that there's room for that. When you think about too, the way that we viewed this Missouri offense, we came out of those first few games thinking, oh, this is, one of the best units in the country. And look how dominant that they've been. They scored on Kansas. They scored on South Carolina. That's power defenses. Like, things are going well. And then you take a little bit of a step back, obviously, with the Alabama game, but they still put up 24 points, was it, in the Bama game? And that's since Florida State scored 31 on Bama. I think that's the highest total they've allowed. So it's not as though, although it doesn't always look pretty at times, it's not as though the Missouri offense simply can't score. I think you ran into an Auburn defense that's really good at their place, your first road game, and now you're playing another road game. But I think Vanderbilt has been more liable to play in these higher scoring environments, and I think Mizzou can lean into that. But it is going to be a big game for Kirby Moore to make sure you're not leaving meat on the bone when it comes to play calling, and in both the run game and in the pass game. Put both Ahmad Hardy and Bo Prabula in positions to make the most of their opportunities. And look, if Bo Prabula at this point in his progression is a first read guy, make sure that first read's a good one and scheme it open as often as possible, and let's move the ball down the field.
Vandy actually scored 14 points against Alabama that day. That was uncharacteristic of them. Every other game, they have scored at least 31.
And to think they scored too early on that one touchdown at halftime. That was crazy.
Oh, please. But that had nothing to do with their own point total, Brendan.
Not in the second half, it didn't. I mean, they didn't score in the second half, I don't think, if not for maybe a field goal. I don't know.
No, I think you're right. It just they couldn't get anything going in the second half, and that's why they couldn't get to their total there. It is such a unique offense to have to scheme against with the quarterback and what he can do, with how they use the tight ends. I mean, Stowers is a stud.
He's a pro.
He will be a pro player. Yeah, some NFL team will use him the right way, and that's going to be something to watch later. But I mean, the way that their offense just continuously will, as we've talked about here, 6 yards you to death, is going to be a challenge for Mizzou to keep up the type of stamina, if you will, for maybe having to go through a drive like that when they are moving the football, and then eventually you get down into the red zone and now you have to toughen up. You have to have your best hand as far as what the series is going to bring in those situations. So it's that aspect of it. And the fact that, again, Mizzou is coming off an offensive performance that, even though they got to close to 340 yards against Auburn, they probably feel like there was a lot left that they could have taken. And especially when they essentially get shut out in the middle quarters of the game, there can't be stretches like that where Mizzou's offense has like 3 punts in a row. And you can't survive that against this Vandy team.
I think you're down double digits if you go a stretch like that, because I don't think Vanderbilt's going to have one. I would be surprised if they go 3 possessions without scoring, unless there's some very untimely turnover things happening, which is why, for as much as we talk about, well, how do you defend Pavia in the 6 yards all the way to the end zone? You know, and that's a scary proposition against the way Mizzou has played in coverage, because they're kind of allowing receivers to catch the ball at 5 to 8 yards and then they make a tackle, but that's very productive for an opposing offense. So like, all of these things on paper do scare me about this matchup. But the other side of it is just like, Mizzou can revert back to being the offense that we really believed it to be early in the season before it played against 2, top 15 defenses in the country. Now, I don't know where Vanderbilt ranks defensively. I know they do some things very well, but like, I don't think very highly of LSU's offense. LSU went into this stadium in Nashville and put up some points on Vanderbilt. I think they scored 24 in the 31-24 loss. Like, there's going to be ways to score on this Vanderbilt team if Mizzou executes on the level that we saw probably prior to, I would even say the Alabama game I'll include. In some ways, they executed pretty well. The Auburn game was different, but I also feel as though the Auburn defense is as good as any they've seen. And now you've seen it once on the road too. I'm not going to put down the environment we're going to see tomorrow in Nashville. It'll be a rocking one, but at the same time, Mizzou has at least a little bit of experience for this year's team to lean on.
We'll see what it looks like. And again, the aspect of game day being there, adding to the hype of the game, but also the fact that Mizzou has made a habit of going to Nashville and then traveling pretty well and being used to gobbling up all of their tickets. And they did that. Yes. It seemed in full force again, Brent. Like, again, you're stuck in the worst traffic you've seen in a while getting to Nashville. I guess that makes sense.
I see some buildings in front of us, so I think we're getting closer to downtown, but where we stopped in the middle of Illinois or wherever it was, there were like charter buses that were definitely coming from Mizzou land with a lot of Mizzou fans. So like, I don't know how many of those were put together and by whom, but obviously Mizzou fans are traveling for this game, and I am excited to see what that environment looks like. I think the capacity is only something like 40,000 at this stadium, which is like half of what Jordan Hare is. So it's, again, I'm not putting down the environment. It's going to be crazy for those that are there. But I also think, you get a few thousand Mizzou fans in a stadium that's not as large as the one the Tigers just played in. You can manage this if you're Bo Perbula. You can say, all right, I've seen it once. Now I know what to do, and I know kind of what to lean on to have success.
It'll be very interesting tomorrow. Again, call or text us at 875-KTGR if you want to weigh in. Give us your score predictions for Mizzou and Vandy. All right, Brendan, what's your score prediction?
Well, we talked yesterday, and I think the total has even risen. I saw maybe like 53.5 this morning for the over-under.
Yep. Yeah.
So this is a game where points are certainly being expected. And I won't be one bit surprised if that's what we end up getting. But I'm going to stick with the score prediction that I did accuse you of stealing yesterday, but you had no idea I was going to go with it. I think Mizzou 27, Vandy 24. I think as much as it could be difficult to hold Vanderbilt to 24, you could get some of those long drives where 6 or 7 minutes of game time go off the clock, and it comes down to a 4th and 1 in the red zone. And look, Mizzou's going to need a stop or two on those spots, I think, to win this football game. And again, there are things on paper that do scare me about this game. But I didn't drive all this way for a loss, so I'm sure as heck not going to predict one. So give me 27-24 Tigers.
And I think it's really close to what you predicted. I am back and forth on how many chances Vanderbilt will get in this one. So I'll say I actually think it does go over. Give me Mizzou 30, Vanderbilt 26.
You had me for a second there. I thought you were going to say 31 and pull the wool over our eyes. I mean, it's just, we could acknowledge that this is a scary game with what Vanderbilt does well. And it's not just on offense. Like, their pressure rate without blitzing is among the best in the country. Like, they do a lot of things well, but so does Missouri. And I think that's what they're going to lean on with this. And I have no question either that Drink is going to play up the narratives to have his team as motivated as they can be.
There is all kinds of uncertainty around this. I don't know how confident I feel in my prediction, but hey, they're going to play tomorrow, and we'll see what happens with Mizzou's chances as we roll along here on the Big Show, KTGR and the KTGR app. If you want to call or text us, it's 573-875-KTGR to get your score predictions in. And Brendan will still be checking in from the road from time to time during the show. He'll be back
from even not the road in a little while. That's my goal.
There we go. And picks of the week coming up very soon at 5:45. In the meantime, though, we will chat next with Rob Veno of WagerTalk.com. His thoughts, of course, on this rising game total for Mizzou-Vandy and thoughts on the rest of the college football slate and some NFL games that'll be key this weekend. Robbie joins us next on the Big Show, KTGR.
Miss the latest edition of the Big Show? Catch up on demand with a full show podcast on the KTGR app. Download it now wherever you get your apps.
Shangri-La is proud to be a part of every black and gold home game this season at the Zimmer Tiger Tailgate. Swing by our tent to play games, win prizes, and hang out with Missouri's top team of cannabis aficionados. Want to join the fun? Pick up your free Tiger Tailgate tickets at any Shangri-La location. Then come find us on game day. We'll be bringing the energy, the prizes, and the community spirit that makes Tiger football unforgettable. Shangri-La Dispensaries is paradise found. ShangriLaDispensaries.com.
Hey, it's Molly from Billiards, and we're gearing up for football, y'all.
Molly, football's already going. Take 2.
Guess it's time to put on my cuddle duds.
Molly, that's not till November. Take 3.
Well, I guess we'll talk about the pumpkin spice menu items at Billiards.
Molly, at last check, we have nothing on the menu with pumpkin spice. Take 4, and you hate it.
When some things feel wrong, Billiards just feels right.
Yep, that'll work.
Looking on down for burgers and beer. Billiards on Broadway.
Whoops, don't know if I saved that.
Josh!
From Branson Landing to the Capitol Dome, Union Station to the Tigers' home. Big old service is Missouri's best. Our trusted team outpaces the rest.
Get our healthy car special for only $39.95 from your Missouri-owned and operated Big O.
Show me state coverage wherever you go. We've got you covered at Big O.
Hi, I'm Tristan Colon, Mizzou grad and 6-year NFL veteran.
I'm Charlie Stickland.
And I'm Sarah Stickland-McDonald of the Stickland & Stickland Injury Law Firm.
In football, home field advantage can make all the difference.
The same is true when choosing your injury lawyer.
We're locals. We know the courts, we know the towns, we know the people.
Just as I protect my team on the field.
Our family will protect your family.
When sorry just doesn't cut it.
Push back with Stickland & Stickland.
Holiday shopping at the big box stores is a decision one that you're now regretting. At Family Pawn, you'll actually enjoy it. Every store's got something different, too. Jewelry, electronics, tools, gaming consoles, and more. And with layaway, you can pay it off by Christmas without maxing out your credit cards and crushing your bank account. Stash it away and save cash every day at Family Pawn.
Not your traditional pawn shop. Family Pawn.
Welcome to Macadoodles. Macadoodles does game day like nobody else. Whether you're tailgating or hosting a watch party, Macadoodles has you covered. With more than 3,200 wine labels, 1,500 spirits, and 600 craft and imported beers, and delivery right to your tailgate or doorstep, the days of making a beer run are over. Macadoodles delivers, providing unmatched selection at unbeatable prices. Drive through today or come inside and experience our world-class customer service. Who does game day like nobody else? Macadoodles does.
Winter's on the way, so now's the time to plan your tree pruning. Here's why. In winter, trees are dormant, which means there's less risk of disease. Plus, without all those leaves, it's way easier to see exactly what needs trimming. The educated, licensed, insured, and experienced crew at Advanced Tree Solutions knows how to protect your trees and your wallet. But spots are filling fast, so schedule your winter pruning today at AdvancedTreeSolutionsLLC.com. Advanced Tree Solutions, LLC, your tree's best friend.
Tired of calling Andy and Brendan? So are their wives. Then shoot them a text right now. 573-875-KTGR and become part of the Big Show.
Back here on the Big Show, KTGR and the KTGR app. Big football weekend shaping up as Mizzou visits Vanderbilt. Game day in town. Tigers looking for a big victory against a top 10 opponent to keep their college football playoff hopes alive. And here to talk all things college football and NFL from the betting angles, Rob Veno of WagerTalk.com, sports from a Vegas perspective, on Twitter at Rob Veno Sports, and go to WagerTalk.com to see all of their great stuff. Robbie, with Mizzou visiting Vanderbilt as a 2.5-point underdog, and with how Vanderbilt has made this rise with both sides of the football really elevating, and of course everyone having all the attention on Diego Pavia, as Mizzou rolls in to Nashville for a game like this, how do you view their value? As, look, they've played well against Vanderbilt before, but this is obviously a different animal.
Yeah, and I tell you the truth, right now, Andy, it's probably hard to separate the two as far as, this being on Vanderbilt's home field and matchup-wise, which set of personnel has an advantage over the other. They're kind of mirror images at this point in time from an overall perspective. But I think what stands out here is probably where the odds makers set this total at 53.5. And I think this is the time of the year, I don't know, you're 8 weeks in, 9 weeks in, 8 games in. And the grind of these opponents week after week after week starts to take a little bit of toll on you, especially on the defensive side. For Vandy, I know they enter with a week off, but it's been Alabama, it's been LSU, now it's going to be Mizzou. For Mizzou, they had the 5 fairly easy home games, and then it was Alabama, and then last week, of course, in a dogfight physically with Auburn. And at some point, I think you start to see a little bit of erosion in these defenses. And with the offenses, and especially the quarterback play being so good out of both, for Vanderbilt, you're still going to have to tackle Hardy. It's another physical game for you against that offensive line. It's difficult to perform week after week after week. And Vandy hasn't been that great of a defense all season long anyway. On the Mizzou side, they're going to have to deal with Pavia after dealing with Simpson. And then, like I say, going through that physical game with Auburn last week where they came out victorious in the end. To me, I think the defensive side feels it the most. The trench play starts to feel it the most. And when you have two explosive offenses, I'd expect points here, Andy, to tell you the truth. I think both of these sides offensively are balanced enough, and they incorporate quarterback run into the game, which makes it even more difficult for the opposing side. Difficult to pick a winner in this game from my perspective, but I think it's going to be high scoring. And, for those of us who, when we don't have action on the side of the game, root for Mizzou. We hope that Mizzou comes out on top, but I think it'll be a higher scoring game than 53.5.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting number to look at. And with both offenses putting up the numbers that they have, can certainly get that direction. Rob Veno of WagerTalk.com here on the Big Show, KTGR and the KTGR app. Really interesting with Texas A&M going to LSU. I mean, not that surprising that A&M is a favorite. It's about a 2.5-point spread. LSU with really their backs against the wall in this game, though, and playing at home. It's always tough for opposing offenses to get things going, as they have shown so far this season. Is this maybe a game where we don't see as many points, and maybe that lends to the LSU side because their offense has kind of struggled no matter where they've been?
Yeah, this is interesting because I don't know if we know that LSU's defense really was that good to begin with, just because of the opposition that they faced. Last week against Vanderbilt, they got pretty much lit up by a Vandy offense, and maybe that's more indicative of who they are than, games against South Carolina with no offensive line, Southeast Louisiana, Florida, we know hasn't played offense all season long, La Tech, and then Clemson, which has been an offensive dud for most of the season. The only game I think we should give them credit for was the 24th that they held Ole Miss to. But even in that game, Andy, I have to say that LSU wasn't stellar defensively. I mean, Ole Miss piles up 480 yards in that game. So there's opportunity here for Texas A&M. LSU, you lay out the perfect situational case to play LSU in this game. In college football, so often is the results mirror the situation of that game. And LSU, desperate mode at home, Death Valley, need a win. Brian Kelly now feeling the hot seat. All of that stuff certainly wins bets in college football. But there's times when the team just isn't good enough to outdo the opponent. And this Texas A&M squad seems to be venue-proof at this point in time. Marcel Reed and company moving the football as well as anybody in the SEC. I have a tough time with this game because I'm just of the opinion that LSU is not a top 15 team this season, and maybe A&M is, and maybe they can walk in there and win this game. I won't play it. I would say this. I've talked to a lot of guys, colleagues and whatnot in the industry that believe that this will be higher scoring than most think. A&M certainly capable of putting up the points. Maybe LSU has to try and match here. I don't know that I can get to the window with that, but if LSU definitely, to me, has a real good chance to lose this home game, and then we'll hear some real rumblings out of Baton Rouge.
Rob Veno of WagerTalk.com here on the Big Show, KTGR and the KTGR app. And another key SEC matchup, Ole Miss going to visit Oklahoma. We've seen a lot about what this Oklahoma defense has been able to do. They're one of the top defenses in the country. And, of course, we talk about Ole Miss offensively with even with changing quarterbacks midseason. They've still been able to put up solid point totals. I wonder with those two units facing off, what type of game this creates over in Norman.
I think each side wants a different style game, right? But then again, last week, Georgia wanted the type of game that Oklahoma wants to play this week, and Georgia couldn't stop Ole Miss for 3 quarters. The fourth quarter was a disaster for the Rebels, for sure. I think they were outgained something like 161-13, if I remember right, in that contest, and Georgia came from behind in the fourth quarter and won a game that basically was Mississippi's to win, and they wound up losing. What happens out of that game, Andy, and what makes this one so difficult to get on board with Ole Miss here is that they suffered quite a few injuries. If they're as banged up right now heading into this week, if you just kind of take the value of the players that are doubtful, questionable, less than 100%, even out, when you add them all up, it hurts Mississippi in this case. They're a deep team, but I don't know that they're that deep to go to Norman and win this game against Oklahoma, where John Mateer's hand is probably a little bit better, more healed now. Oklahoma's offense should be a little bit better. Ole Miss's defense certainly showed some exploitability in that defense in the fourth quarter against Georgia, who's not Georgia's not this electric offense that should be able to light you up that way in one quarter, yet they did. To me, it's probably Oklahoma or pass. But again, I think you can take or apply exactly what you were saying about LSU last game. The difference is LSU's at home, Ole Miss is on the road. But I think you can apply that kind of we need this win type mentality to Mississippi, and maybe the points are enough to get them by. I don't know that they can win this game. Well, they can definitely win this game, but I would think Oklahoma wins this game, but maybe not by enough. And when you're betting games like that, with that in your mind, it's pretty much hold your breath and wait for the final result. If you don't think Ole Miss can win this game, you probably shouldn't be there with this side. And I don't know that they can here. I think Oklahoma will show pretty well in this contest.
Rob Veno of WagerTalk.com here on the Big Show KTGR. To the NFL side, Chiefs, they covered a big number last week against the Raiders, who look kind of helpless. And it's a similar line heading into this weekend as they now play on Monday night, and the Commanders come to town without Jaden Daniels. It's Marcus Mariota instead at quarterback. Should we expect that the Chiefs now, with the way they have looked operationally, especially on offense, are now capable again of covering these types of big numbers?
Yes. So then again, I've been a proponent of Kansas City to make this run for about the last 4 weeks now. We've cashed a lot of tickets. Just zeroing in on the Kansas City offense's team total, which, the cries were at the time when they were 0-2 and maybe struggling through the first four when they didn't have their when they weren't fully equipped at the receiver positions. The cries were this offense just isn't the same, dink and dunk, whatever. But you knew at some point, everybody was going to come back. The offense was going to click. Patrick Mahomes, as I've probably said often on this show, and as you guys know by being there in the area, told everybody off season that the offense is what they worked on the most, and they expected to push the ball downfield. And now we see it out of this team. It's to the point now where, Travis Kelce is somewhat the number 3 option, and all of a sudden now, he's seeing a few more targets. He's catching a few more balls. He's making a few more big plays because Rice and Worthy are involved, along with Hollywood Brown. And, even Thornton has contributed, right? So I don't see their offense stopping production anytime soon. Last year was a long year for that group, and I think they're out to make amends for what happened there. In this particular case against a bad Washington defense, KC's team total has been bumped up now. Last week I had their team total against the Raiders. It was 28.5, and they got to 31 on their first 5 possessions, right? I think it was 4 TDs and then a field goal. And then they just stopped scoring. It was 31-0. There was no reason to score anymore. Washington might be able to put up a little bit of resistance with their offense and force KC to keep scoring. But 31 in their case is never out of the question anymore. And them covering a number like this against a team in a bad situation at quarterback and with a weak defense, the only way I could lean is towards Kansas City here, because I don't think a lot of handicapping situational is letdown stuff, Andy, and I just don't see Kansas City being in letdown mode any of these weeks upcoming.
Rob Veno of WagerTalk.com here on the Big Show KTGR. Interesting, with Lamar Jackson questionable, assuming he returns for the Ravens against the Bears this weekend. Ravens are close to a touchdown favorite there. They seem to think, at least the odds makers seems to think that, this could be a week that Lamar Jackson comes back and the Ravens offense looks like it should. But game-wide, is this still a concern, though, for the Ravens to defend what the Bears have offensively?
It is. It has to be, right? Because the defense is the issue here. The offense became an issue once Lamar got hurt, but the defense since week 1 has been terrible. And Baltimore, in their defense, it's due to massive amounts of injury that they suffered on that side of the football. And slowly but surely, a couple of pieces are coming back here. And maybe they start closing, and just to use round numbers, if you're allowing 31, you get a couple guys back, maybe you start to only give up 25, 24, and games become a little bit different where point spreads and totals are concerned. So I think Baltimore's, they had the week off, Andy, which is huge. I think John Harbaugh will have them ready. I think it's a team with a championship mentality that knows they have to basically, in their minds, they have to run the table, I would think. So it starts here with Chicago. The question then becomes, is Chicago that much of a pushover that Baltimore can just take a week off, get a couple people back, important ones at that, and just start rolling again? I'm not sure, because Chicago's improving week by week, and Ben Johnson, as good of an offensive coordinator as he is, probably still gives Baltimore fits here. If the weather stays good, the odds makers telling you that they expect a high-scoring game, totals 49.5, and you could certainly see something in the, 31-24 vicinity, 31-23 vicinity that gets this game up and over the total. So we'll reserve, comment on Baltimore as a side play right now until we see the defense a little bit more, but I think they can still be used as an overplay.
Robbie, what's your free pick this weekend?
You know what? Let's go to, I'm going to give you this. Let's go right back to the home side, because the first game that I played this week was Missouri and Vanderbilt over the total. Check the weather just to make sure Nashville wasn't going to be problematic. It's not. And it was the first one, like I say, that I went ahead and pressed the button with on a bet. So I think it's probably, the best play on the board right now, over 53 points. I described why. I think you'll see a high-scoring effort out of both of these teams. Vandy has proven they can score on anybody. The Alabama game, they didn't score as much, but a lot of bad turnovers, especially early on when they were deep in Bama territory and turned it over. I don't know that happens here. I'm looking for both teams to score. So the best bet for this week would be Missouri-Vanderbilt up and over 53 points.
All right. He's our man, Rob Veno, over at wagertalk.com. We'll obviously be paying attention to that one this weekend. And great to have Robbie here on The Big Show. Follow him at Rob Veno Sports on Twitter, and go and check out wagertalk.com for all their great info. Robbie, thanks for coming on The Big Show. Hope you're well. We'll talk again soon.
Always a pleasure, Andy. Have a good weekend.
You too. It is 4:43 here on The Big Show, KTGR, and the KTGR app. So we're looking forward to that all this weekend, and maybe there will be a whole bunch of points scored in Mizzou-Vanderbilt coming up tomorrow. Again, our Yuengling Tiger Game Day show begins at 11:30 tomorrow right here on KTGR before the 2:30 kickoff. And don't forget, during that 2:30 kick and all throughout the game, you can join us over at the Deuce Pub and Pit, powered by Yuengling. We'll have a watch party where you can hang out, so you can watch the game with us. We'll have happy hour specials. We'll have some KTGR t-shirts to give away. We'll also have a chance for you to win some Mizzou football tickets to either of the remaining home games left against Texas A&M November 8th and against Mississippi State on November 15th. So don't miss your chance to win those tickets. Come by the Deuce Pub and Pit tomorrow around game time. We'll start off things. And again, all thanks to Yuengling and the Deuce Pub and Pit for having our watch parties for all of Mizzou football's road games this year. You can RSVP over on our Facebook page. Go and check out the event listed there, or you can RSVP on the KTGR app or at KTGR.com. All right, under the bus coming up next. This referee suspension, to me, seemed a little too far. We'll get to that after this.
Now, your local Sports Center update on your total sports station, KTGR.
Good afternoon. I'm Andy Humphrey. This Sports Center update is with Lee's Tire Company. If it's round and rubber, Lee's sells it. Go to leestirecompany.com. Mizzou and Vanderbilt play a top 15 matchup in Nashville tomorrow. It'll be the second top 10 team that the Tigers have faced in their last 3 games. Both teams come in 6-1 overall, 2-1 in the SEC. Mizzou looking to make it 6 straight wins against Vanderbilt head-to-head and 3 straight in Nashville. Kickoff set for 2:30 tomorrow. Again, the Yuengling Tiger Game Day show begins at 11:30 right here on KTGR. Mizzou men's basketball will play an exhibition tonight against an old conference foe, Kansas State. They come to town for a 9 p.m. tip-off at Mizzou Arena. First look at Mizzou men's basketball this season in this exhibition. Their regular season opener won't be until Monday, November 3rd, when they go on the road to face Howard. You can hear the game tonight on 96.7 KCMQ with coverage beginning at 8:30. And 2 players missing practice today for the Chiefs. Trey Simmons still due to personal reasons, and offensive lineman Trey Smith due to a back issue. Kareem Hunt did practice in a limited capacity. Chiefs take on the Commanders on Monday Night Football next week. Now your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast.
I'm Storm Track meteorologist Sawyer Jackson, and you'll want to break out the rain gear this weekend, as I am tracking scattered light showers, at least starting up tonight, and then becoming a bit more present by the time we get into the afternoon hours tomorrow. These shower chances will really last until the start of next week, so you'll want to keep that rain gear handy. You also might want a warm layer heading out the doors. Temperatures each afternoon are only set to warm into the upper 50s. I'm Storm Track meteorologist Sawyer Jackson, and that's your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast on your total sports station, KTGR.
Truman the Tiger, M-I-Z, Marching Mizzou, and of course,
To the house! To the house!
the traditions of Mizzou football live here. Join us Saturday. Mizzou is back on the road to take on Vanderbilt. Our coverage begins at 12:30 on your home for Mizzou football.
We are
Mid-Missouri's total sports station, KTGR.
Hey, it's Andy and Brendan here with Underdog Fantasy. A great time to jump into Underdog if you haven't already. Go higher or lower on player stats, and if you get your picks right, you could win up to 5,000 times your money. And Brendan, you had some wins last night.
I did. I really enjoyed it on the Thursday night football game. I took a player from each team that isn't supposed to be super involved in the passing game, but that's what's fun about Underdog. You can be watching these games, and if your guy gets one reception, you're cheering for him, gets your yards. And Trey Harris, Aaron Jones were both able to do that on the receiving side to get me a nice win on Underdog last night. And with the weekend ahead, I'm excited to make some more picks.
Yeah, lots of football to choose from as the college and NFL slate gets into full force. So go and download the Underdog app if you haven't already, and be sure to not miss out on all of those picks that you can cash in on during this football season, and also with basketball back in full swing. Crossover season is upon us. Be sure to take advantage on Underdog Fantasy. Download the app today. Use our promo code KTGR to score $100 in bonus funds or bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code KTGR. Underdog. Make plays. Win money. Must be 18 plus and present in Missouri. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org.
Let's talk numbers, because if you're a fan of stats, you'll want to hear this. Flight by Yuengling has just 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's light beer that actually brings some game day flavor. Whether you're at the tailgate or watching from the couch, Flight delivers that crisp, refreshing taste without the extra baggage. Brewed by the oldest brewery in America, so you know it's legit. Flight by Yuengling, the next generation of light beer. DG Yuengling & Son, Pottsville, Pennsylvania.
Buckeye Buyers Club members get a 5% rebate on every purchase now through the end of the year. That's right, 5% of your entire purchase will be given back to you as a Buckeye gift card on top of your already great deals. All you have to do is use your Buckeye Buyers Club account at checkout. Not a member yet? Join today for free by visiting Buckeyes.com and clicking on the Buyers Club sign-up button. It's easy, it's free, and it's only at Buckeye. Shop online anytime at Buckeyes.com.
This weekend, cancel your plans. Brunch is calling at the Dive Bar in Columbia. Start with biscuits, not just any biscuits, local made, buttermilk, sweet corn, even gluten-free, smothered in scratch-made gravy, pork sausage, or the chorizo. Don't forget the loaded biscuit, fluffy omelet, drenched in gravy, stacked so high it's basically brunch art. And then there's the Dive Cristo, smoked ham, house-made raspberry jam, gooey cheese wrapped in a flaky puff pastry. The Monte Cristo wishes it was this good. Brunch, Saturday and Sunday only at the Dive Bar in Columbia. Don't just eat, experience.
I'm Michael Agnew with API Project Fitness. At API, we're dedicated to helping you reach your fitness goals with workouts that are motivating, challenging, and effective. Our group classes are high energy and designed to maximize your time with efficient movements and smooth flow. There are real results here to find, whether you're just starting out or ready to push it to the next level. API is where hard work meets progress. Everyone needs a fitness routine. Let us be yours. Sign up today for a free trial at APIProjectFitness.com.
Columbia's best Black Friday gun sale is at Minutemen Defense. November 18th through the 29th, everything except ammo is on sale. Big giveaways November 28th and 29th, including merch, ammo bundles, and Cerakote packages. Don't miss Friday and Saturday specials, plus tiered savings on S-Tac gear. Shop their website now through Black Friday and use the code RADIO at checkout for a special Black Friday discount on your purchase. Visit MinutemenDefenseLLC.com. Minutemen Defense off I-70 in Rangeline.
If it's Mizzou sports, it's happening here. Now, back to the big show on KTGR.
So we've said on this show that referees at the highest level, like the NFL, college football, pro sports, essentially, where the stakes are as high as they can be. Like, the referees need to be held to a pretty high standard themselves. And in the case of this one here that the SEC has reportedly done, I think this is a case where they maybe went a step too far. The SEC reportedly, according to first reported by Yellowhammer News, later confirmed by ESPN through their sources, the SEC has suspended longtime referee Ken Williamson for the remainder of the season. He was the part of the crew. He was leading the crew that worked the Georgia-Auburn game. You know, the one where Jackson Arnold, it sure seemed like he went across the goal line with the football. Instead, he fumbled it, and they called it a fumble, and Georgia got it back, eventually won the game 20-10. There was also the whole Kirby Smart, like, calling timeout, clapping thing where looked like he was calling timeout, but they didn't actually make him spend one. There was a targeting call that was not called on the field, but then called by replay. So, like, it didn't seem like the crew had a very good day. And I would be fine with the head official and the crew just, being suspended a week or 2 weeks, or make sure that he doesn't work a postseason game or whatever it is. Like, that's the standard that you can set. I think for the rest of the season, though, is pretty harsh. And also consider this. Ken Williamson, according to this ESPN report, told SEC officials prior to the opening game this year that he was going to retire after this season. So this suspension has essentially ended his career. I think a guy like this that spent a lot of time as an SEC ref deserved a little bit more leniency than this. This seemed like a step too far in my mind. I think he's built up enough goodwill to say, like, look, man, you didn't have a good game. Sit out a week. The crew sits out a week. The Big 12 did this earlier, apparently with the Mizzou Kansas refs, because they misinterpreted a rule. Sit out a week, come back the next week, work the rest of the season. This also kind of dings you for postseason assignments, things like that. Doesn't mean you can't get them in the future, but this will bring you down the pecking order a little bit. Let a guy finish out, I think, on his terms. This seemed like a little too much to me. So under the bus, the SEC for this. So there's that. There's also this from the NFL, who also tries a little too much to control things. So during the Thursday night football game last night, Vikings-Chargers, Al Michaels was commenting on Will Reichard, the Vikings kicker, and noted that the only kick that he has missed this year was the one when he was in London, or in one of the Europe games, where the kick seemed to hit the wire of the sky cam that was above the field and seemed to affect the kick. And there was a whole thing with the league as to whether or not it did. And the league ultimately said, well, it wasn't very clear. And Al Michaels kind of brought that issue up. But then later, when Reichard went on for another kick and Al Michaels talked about him again, well, apparently the NFL got in his ear and said, hey, you need to correct your statement. And Al Michaels said, I need to, the NFL is taking my lunch on this. Apparently, Reichard didn't hit the wire. It was an optical illusion. Okay, optical illusion that the ball hit the wire. Sure, NFL, whatever you say. Just get in the ear of Al Michaels. Make him toe the company line, everything like that. That just seems a little fishy to me. I think we all saw what happened in that overseas game with the Vikings, and it cost Logan Reichard a chance to make a kick in that game. More a storyline or a footnote to the story than anything else now, but the NFL always tries to control the messaging, as we know. Hey, Mizzou Hoops is kind of back tonight. Pretty exciting to have a foe like Kansas State come in and play an exhibition game. They had announced it much earlier in the year, but very cool that Mizzou gets to open up in this way. 9 p.m. tip isn't ideal, obviously, but still get a chance to host the game, and fans can still come in and get their first look at this Mizzou basketball team as they have one more tune-up before the season actually starts. They'll go on the road to open the season against Howard. So the fact that you can get into the gym for the first time, see this team out there, should be a lot of fun, and we'll see how this game goes between them. Again, I no expectations for how the game goes. I don't care what the rotations are in this game. I don't care how well they play, really. Just will be nice to see some players out there, certainly the key guys like Anthony Robinson and Mark Mitchell, and we'll see what other newcomers might be contributing to this year's team for Dennis Gates. So I think very sweet that college hoops is almost upon us. Tonight, you get to see an exhibition game tonight for Mizzou and Kansas State. Again, 9 p.m. tip-off. Coverage will be on 96.7 KCMQ on the radio if you want to listen to it. We will have coverage of high school football instead, Rockbridge and Francis Howell to close out the regular season. So just a programming note there. If you want to listen to Mizzou Men's Hoops tonight, flip on over to 96.7 KCMQ starting at 8:30. All right, let's get to the SEC Rooting Guide next. This one, not as straightforward, I think, as in past weeks. So we'll talk about it. I believe Brendan will join us again for it. And we'll have our picks of the week, of course. He'll definitely be here for that. 5:45 here on The Big Show.
Always ahead of the curve? Seem to know what's going to happen? Like a prophet? Prove it, Nostradamus, with Profit Shares. Predict the outcome of every black and gold game or whoever your favorite team is. It's all at Profit Shares, and it doesn't cost a thing to play. Make your predictions risk-free and win prizes like gift cards to Amazon, Chick-fil-A, and other favorites. Or donate your winnings to charities. Contests are open now. Play for free at ProfitShares.com. PROPHET shares.com.
Get ready for game day with Zing Zang. Zing Zang has you covered. Kick off with their ready-to-drink Bloody Marys featuring 6 times distilled vodka, or turn up the heat with their blazing Bloody Mary. Prefer margs? Enjoy classic or mango margarita, both made with premium Blanco tequila. With 9% alcohol, these cocktails deliver bartender-quality cocktails with legendary taste. Find Zing Zang at your local retailer. Zing Zang, taste the legend, and please Zing Zang responsibly.
Sons of insects, I am Bart the bedbug. But Bart the bedbug stands 5 millimeters tall. So I've heard. I've also heard he bites humans by the hundreds, and if he were here, he'd wreak havoc amongst the bed sheets. I am Bart the bedbug, and I see a whole army of ants and rodents, spiders and bedbugs here, in defiance of those who walk upon 2 legs. You've come to invade as free bugs, and free bugs you are. What would you do without freedom? Will you invade?
Invade? No. We'll scurry off and live.
Aye, scurry and you'll live, but dying in your nests many days from now. Would you trade all those days for one chance, just one chance to come back here and tell the humans that they may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom? Oh, is that Steve's? Never mind. Scurry!
I'm Steve with Steve's Pest Control. We will eliminate your pest problem and stop the fall pest invasion. I guarantee it.
Steve's Pest Control. KTGR AM Columbia. KTGR FM Fulton, Columbia. K286CL Columbia. In Missouri's total sports station. KTGR.
Sports Center.
I'm Sean Ryder. Eagles star receiver A.J. Brown with a hamstring injury has been ruled out for Sunday's game against the Giants. With Bryce Young dealing with a sprained ankle, the Panthers will start 15-year veteran Andy Dalton at quarterback for Sunday's game against Buffalo. Dalton not getting the start.
Yeah, I mean, I think every opportunity that gets to be out there, I'm going to enjoy every moment. You never know how many you're going to get. And so for me, I'm just excited, if I get to be out there to get a chance to play, I was excited. And obviously you hate that, Bryce got hurt in the game, but I get to be in there, get to be, be a part of it and kind of impact the game. So every chance you get, you look forward to it.
Panthers going for their 4th straight win when they host the Bills. It's on ESPN Radio on Sunday at noon Eastern. Lamar Jackson, a full participant in Ravens practice today, has been missed the last 2 games with a hamstring injury. Head coach John Harbaugh didn't say whether the 2-time MVP would start on Sunday with Baltimore hosting Chicago. Game 1 of the World Series tonight in Toronto between the Blue Jays and the Dodgers, and on ESPN Radio coverage coming up at 7 Eastern.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Progressive Commercial Insurance flexes to fit your business's needs, from quick repairs to adjustable coverages and even payment options. Progressive Commercial makes it easy to get what you need. Quote today in as little as 8 minutes at progressivecommercial.com.
From Faro,
15 to the 10, to the house,
Bush,
back to the wall, and it's got her.
and Arrowhead,
Touchdown, Kansas City.
to your speakers.
This is the big show, baby.
Get fresh takes on the biggest sports stories in mid-Missouri. Right now, this is The Big Show with Andy and Brendan on KTGR.
Second hour here on The Big Show. Andy here. Brendan will be here in due time. Certainly for Picks of the Week at 5:45. He doesn't miss those. No. Call or text us here if you want to join us, 875-KTGR. In the meantime, we'll talk about, for Mizzou's sake, of course, you obviously are focused on Mizzou-Vandy, but what other SEC games will affect Mizzou when it comes to their chances at the college football playoff? Because, look, even if they lose this game against Vandy, it's still technically possible. They'd have to win out, obviously. But, look, if all the results break Mizzou's way, can they still get there? We'll talk about the SEC Rooting Guide coming up here in just a few minutes. We'll talk about Mizzou men's basketball's exhibition game tonight, what to look for as the Tigers take the floor for the first time, albeit in a practice capacity, essentially, but an interesting opponent against Kansas State. 573-875-5847 if you want to call or text us. But first, it's 5 o'clock.
It's time for the Top 5 at 5 on The Big Show. Number 1.
If you want to trade away for curtain number 1, you can have curtain 1.
And man, all eyes on Nashville for Mizzou-Vandy. This game, 2 huge keys for Mizzou. Get the run game going. It cannot be what it was against Auburn this past weekend. You need Ahmad Hardy to flash. You need the run game to keep Vandy's defense off balance, keep them guessing as to what is coming. That is prerequisite number 1. Number 2 is that, look, Diego Pavia is going to get his yards. He's going to make plays. When he gets to the red zone, that's when you have to toughen up. If you can force a few more field goals in this game against Vandy defensively, that might be your path to victory. They might still get a lot of scoring chances, but if you're able to match them offensively, this could be a fruitful game for the Tigers. We'll see. They are underdogs going into Vandy. 11 o'clock or 11:30 is when the England Tiger Game Day Show begins tomorrow for coverage right here on KTGR.
Number 2.
Number 2, your timing is impeccable.
Excited to see some key players for Mizzou men's basketball as they take the floor tonight for an exhibition game against Kansas State. 9 p.m. tip-off at Mizzou Arena. You can hear coverage on 96.7 KCMQ tonight. Look, this game's not going to count for anything. It's just another tune-up before Mizzou takes the floor against Howard to open up the season on the road. But our first look at the team and what it can look like, and I'm intrigued to see what Sean Phillips looks like. One of the newcomers that has made a lot of noise this offseason. We'll see what it looks like for the first time.
Number 3.
Intriguing SEC weekend. Oklahoma, Ole Miss, A&M, and LSU. Maybe there's another upset brewing. Texas goes to Mississippi State. I don't know if that'll happen, but look, Texas had some close calls recently. That'll make the SEC Rooting Guide very interesting. I don't think there are that many straightforward answers this week as to who you would want to win if you're a Mizzou fan and you're hoping to, with wins yourself, wiggle your way up into a college football playoff bid. We'll talk about it here in just a few minutes.
Number 4.
Oh, shanked it.
No Trey Smith at practice for the Chiefs again today, still dealing with that back issue. He couldn't finish the game against the Raiders with it this past Sunday. Mike Caliendo, a capable starter at guard, but you obviously want Smith in there. We'll see how the Chiefs look offensively as they look to keep things rolling against the Commanders' defense that has not been all that commanding this year. Monday Night Football, 7:15 at Arrowhead.
Number 5.
What did the 5 fingers say to the face? Slap!
World Series begins tonight, and man, I hope at some point in this series, Bo Bichette's has a moment to shine.
That's the Big Show's Top 5 at 5 on KTGR.
Call or text us here at 573-875-KTGR. That would be very cool if a guy who has been injured all postseason but is making himself available to his team in the biggest moment on the biggest stage. He's playing a position that is not necessarily his natural position. He's in at second base, but he's fighting through that injury, and he's in the lineup tonight for game one. Pretty remarkable stuff as the Blue Jays and Dodgers start off the World Series with game one tonight in Toronto. And we'll bring you select games of the World Series ourselves right here on KTGR. You'll be able to hear game 3 on Monday night starting at 6 p.m. with coverage, and game 5, if necessary, on Wednesday night at 6 o'clock. 573-875-KTGR to join us. Look who's joining us now once again. It is one Brendan Schaefer, who is muted. Come on, man. I was there. This is the build-up and everything. Come on.
This is the last try. If it doesn't go well, I'll call you. But how's this sound for you?
It sounds great, my friend.
Okay.
The can that is the car.
Yeah. Section. Hey, SEC rooting guide. I'm rooting for Mizzou. Gonna call it right now.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that's bold. I'll see how that affects Mizzou going forward. I don't know with that one. So we'll see what happens here. One more text from Ben on Mizzou-Vandy. Winning the turnover battle is what determines the winner in close games. I would bet for a one-score game if it is a clean game. No silly interceptions if Mizzou wants to win. I mean, silly ones, no, I can't live with those. Aggressive ones where you're trying to make a play, maybe on third or fourth down, maybe you're a little more accepting of those, but not all interceptions are created equal. But no, you can't have the silly ones. You can't have the throws where you're scratching your head and saying, what were you looking at? And look, Bo Previla has had at least one of those in the last 4 or 5 games, so it is something to watch.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think the turnover battle is going to matter in this game for sure, but I also still lean, like, if you lose the turnover margin 2-1, but you converted multiple key fourth downs and your defense stopped Diego Pavio on a couple, like, those count as turnovers too. So I think that you have to kind of bake all that into the turnover conversation, Andy, is how do things unfold on fourth down on both sides?
All right, so we'll see what it looks like for that game. You can still give us your predictions, 573-875-KTGR. We have picks of the week coming at 5:45. But let's go through the SEC rooting guide first. Big ones coming up this weekend, not just Mizzou-Vandy, but Oklahoma-Ole Miss, another top 15 game. And both teams with the exact same record, just like in the Mizzou, 6-1. Or actually, no, not exactly the same. They're 6-1 overall. Ole Miss is 3-1 in the SEC. Oklahoma 2-1. Still one-loss teams in the conference. Mizzou plays Oklahoma. Mizzou does not play Ole Miss. But Brendan, I don't know if it's that simple. Like you root for Oklahoma in that situation. I kind of go back and forth to the point where I don't know how much it'll affect Mizzou one way or the other. With this, I actually even might lean a little bit on the Ole Miss side, if you ask me.
Okay, but what's the logic there?
Well,
make your case.
Okay, so you originally, I think before last weekend, you were kind of fine with Ole Miss maybe winning out anyway, and so if they were, they obviously went to Georgia and fought hard. It was a high-scoring affair, but fell short in the end, and so they take that first loss. Ole Miss the rest of the way, if they get past this game and they win it, no ranked opponents left after that. South Carolina, Mississippi State and Florida are the only conference games left. They also have the Citadel thrown in there in November. So, look, if they win that and they're a one-loss SEC team, they probably still have a good shot at being in Atlanta in the end, which I think is another thing that Mizzou fans before last weekend you could have rooted for. With both them and potentially Alabama being undefeated SEC teams. Oklahoma, I get that you still want Oklahoma to be beefed up since they're on your schedule and they're a tough team, but I think they'll be recognized as that anyway. And this tough schedule, even though they're going to take some losses here and maybe enough losses before Mizzou faces them, I think it might be beneficial for Mizzou to face an Oklahoma that is not in the playoff mix by the time that game rolls around the second to last weekend of the regular season. I know they'll be playing at home and they'll want to have that fight in them anyway, but I have some reservations about facing an Oklahoma team that still has a chance at a playoff bid, and then they're playing for that at the same time. So that's my logic there.
Yeah, I don't know on this one. Like, I honestly feel as though you could still benefit from Ole Miss picking up a loss and maybe stumbling to Florida, stumbling against South Carolina, because it's not likely that those things happen, but it's not impossible. Egg Bowl, I mean, I think that is a road game for Ole Miss. That could happen. And then they would quickly be a 9-3 SEC team that, you know, bang, another playoff spot has opened up. Whereas Oklahoma, you know, if they do lose this, certainly feels like a team that, yeah, could be out of the mix by the time Mizzou plays them. But I don't think that's going to take them out of competitiveness against Missouri. Like, I still feel like that's a game that they're going to want their get back for after what happened last November 9th. So I'm not so sure. I think the preference would be Ole Miss take another loss, and then there's an outside shot they stumble again. I mean, remember, this is an Ole Miss team that lost to Kentucky last year, had no business doing that, and it cost them the playoff. A similar outcome could happen again against a South Carolina, Florida, or a Mississippi State. And when it comes to their coaching situation, like a distracted Ole Miss team that thinks their coach is heading to Florida, like that's still going to take more twists and turns as well on the coaching carousel, to where Ole Miss could be ripe for that if they lose 2 in a row. And Oklahoma would then still have to face Tennessee, Alabama, Missouri, and LSU. I think they're dropping 2 of those 4 games. And so I think you could see a scenario where both of these teams do miss the playoff.
Sure. I again am kind of thinking about, like, if Mizzou loses this game to OU later on in the season, what would that loss look like? Also is also something to look at. I don't think there's a clear answer. I'll say that. I'm kind of leaning Ole Miss, but I don't know if there's a clear answer.
The Ole Miss argument I just think is flimsier, because if they can still miss the playoffs, why wouldn't we want that? And what do you gain on the OU side if they lose? What does Mizzou gain from that?
Well, I don't think they lose anything either. That's
no,
also
what you're saying. But that would just be a stagnant. There's no gain. So why would we root for Ole Miss if you can't gain anything from it?
I guess, but I don't know.
If you have an argument of what they would gain, I'm open to hearing it. I just think it's
I'm thinking more of what OU could lose as a potential of losing a home game like that, where they've got, I believe, SEC Nation there, and if they're, you know, down in the dumps by the time they play Mizzou, that's kind of where I'm at. But
okay, I think they are playing Mizzou tough regardless. So, like, your premise is fair. I just don't agree with it that the outcome on October 25th is gonna impact November 22nd. I just don't think it will. And so based on that, I'm gunning for Ole Miss to lose another game, because they're the type of team that slips up when they're not supposed to.
Okay, so then for Texas A&M and LSU, is it the same thing? Is it, hey, Mizzou plays A&M, they can beat A&M and hand them a loss potentially? LSU needs another loss to miss out on the CFP. See, I actually think the opposite on that one too. I actually am rooting for LSU here.
Well, that would be rooting for LSU, I think, would be the same as rooting for Oklahoma, because it's all in the hopes that more teams are risking missing the CFP. A&M taking a loss, and then Mizzou having a home chance against A&M. There's 2 losses for A&M, and Mizzou would have the head-to-head. So now you're talking about 2 10-2s, where I would think a 10-2 Mizzou and a 10-2 A&M, Mizzou's got to look in that, because A&M's schedule has not ended up to be very tough, and Missouri would have the head-to-head. So I think, yes, root for LSU under the same reason that I'm rooting for Oklahoma, which is I think all 4 of these teams that we're talking about can miss the playoff. LSU A&M, OU, Ole Miss. There's a path to all four of them missing if this weekend can kind of kick the dominoes in that direction, because I think LSU is cooked. I don't think they're making it even with a win this weekend.
Well, not with just a win this weekend, but like you talk about the games that they have coming up, which
Alabama at OU.
It would put a lot of impetus on that Alabama game. On the road, really have to root hard for Alabama. It is on the road. Like it's a good spot for Alabama to get the win. Yeah. So like the third loss there for LSU certainly puts them down to the 3-loss category, and then it gets really tough for an SEC team to make a case there. And then, a loss to OU could also put icing on the cake for it. But, I mean, we're also kind of – it is interesting, like how many losses will OU take? Will OU, in fact, lose their games at Tennessee and at Alabama? Will that, in fact, happen? Like there are a whole lot of other scenarios that could happen here. I do agree, though, that it is more likely for LSU to take that loss that eliminates them down the line than it is for Texas A&M to take losses after this game that then put them in the spot where they could be eliminated. I think it's got to start happening now for them if you're going to hang 3 losses on them somehow. So,
but if they don't, I would say that the revenue booster aspect is a nice consolation prize if you're Mizzou. Like if A&M keeps winning, you are hosting number 3 in a couple of weeks. And as much as that's not as good as A&M having a path to being hopped over by you, a 10-2 Missouri, if that's the way it plays out, I'll take it as a consolation to say, hey, we did beat number 3. Nobody can say we didn't have a signature win. So that one works out either way, but I do think we prefer LSU to hand A&M that first loss.
All right, so those are the 2 big SEC games that are involving top 25 teams, top 20 teams, really, for this weekend. With other SEC games, you can root for upsets. You can root for Kentucky to try and pull it off against Tennessee. It's kind of a rivalry game there.
Yeah, right? But Tennessee's cooked if they lose. Like, sure, root for that.
Third loss for Tennessee, that would absolutely happen. And same thing for Texas. Like, if they lose to Mississippi State on the road, they're done. So you can feel good about that and eliminate another team there.
And we do play the Bulldogs. Mizzou gets that game. So, hey, any more good resume builders? Mississippi State looking better? Fine by me. Yeah, that's an easy one for me. Not likely, but easy enough.
Right. It's not likely, but hey, it's college football. Anything can happen. And Kentucky almost got it done against Texas last week. So Mississippi State's probably looking at that blueprint and saying, hey, what can we learn with a game like that? Then that's Auburn, Arkansas. Who cares? It's either one.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I don't think that matters really that much.
Flip a coin, man.
South Carolina? Can I get you on the Gamecocks?
No.
Why?
Alabama needs to win out. Alabama needs to win out.
To stay like, hey, Mizzou's loss isn't so bad.
And like no funny business when it comes to tiebreakers for making the SEC championship game. Hanging losses on other teams. I think.
Why is that bad though? That if it's South Carolina that does it because they're irrelevant.
I mean, I suppose, but then that's the type of win that maybe kickstarts them a little bit, not for the playoff, but maybe if you're able to say, okay, Alabama can lose this. Does that motivate South Carolina enough to go to Ole Miss, maybe hang a loss on them, or maybe go to A&M and do something like that? I suppose.
I think we root that. Yeah, we root Gamecocks every week. I guess the argument is like Mizzou's resume is better if Bama is better. But don't forget, Bama does have a loss to Florida State. So if you take another loss unbecoming like South Carolina, suddenly, for as many good wins as Bama has, like, they're still out at 9-3 too, and they've still got other teams to play after this one. So I'll root for South Carolina. It's in vain, but sure, I'll root for, because the tiebreaker doesn't get messed up. If anything, it helps a Missouri sneak into something that they don't deserve if Bama loses a game in conference play. So I'm good with it. It's not going to happen, but I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I suppose it doesn't hurt Mizzou either outcome. So if you want to root for South Carolina to have more of the chaos, great. If you think Alabama needs to be super strong heading into postseason and everything like that. So Mizzou's loss looks better. Also fine. Yeah, either way on that, if you ask me. What about other games across college football this weekend?
Give me, and this is like a small potatoes, give me the Washington Huskies so I can stop hearing about Illinois. That's one that I do feel, just shut up, Illinois fans. Like, it ain't happening. You lost by 53.
I mean, I would like to at least see them get that third loss so we can very clearly not talk about them anymore. Like, this
Right.
is the opportunity, and they're still ranked 23. I don't know what the CF committee is gonna want to do with them, but like, they're around that area come early November, and they keep winning, and they have no ranked teams left. So yeah,
they're an underdog. They should lose.
Underdog.
Go Huskies.
Okay, yeah, that's a good one. I think that's the only real iffy Big Ten game that you have to pay a whole lot of attention to. Elsewhere, ACC is interesting this weekend.
Okay.
I think you need Virginia to take a loss. Now,
bad news.
I know
They
it's
play Belichick.
probably not happening, but if there were ever a time for Chapel Bill to get that first conference win, I think now is the time to make it happen. Virginia is 6-1. And after this, not a whole lot of challenges. Now, I guess going to Duke is one that maybe gave, Georgia Tech a bit of a scare. They eventually got that win by 9. Virginia does have them on their schedule. But other than that, at Cal's not that daunting. And then everything else is at home. Wake Forest, Virginia Tech. That's Virginia at number 16 in the country. I think you look at those two road games, like at North Carolina, at Duke, and see maybe those are chances. But if they don't get them there, and the ACC has an undefeated Georgia Tech, they have Miami still that, took that first loss, but then Virginia is kind of still in the mix, then you wonder if the ACC is looking at 3 bids potentially. I think one of them's got to take a loss.
Yeah, I even would say, I'm trying to check this on Virginia. Who did they lose to?
Virginia lost to NC State.
NC State? Yeah, brother. If Virginia gets popped in the ACC championship game, they're 11-2. They don't get in over a 10-2 SEC. But you're right. Virginia's not the only one when you also have to look at Miami and Georgia Tech. So the problem becomes if 3 teams are 11-1 from the ACC, the team that doesn't have to play a championship game is 11-1. And what do you do with that team? You're right. Mm-hmm. Let's root against Virginia. Totally agree.
Because there's that. And then Georgia Tech, I mean, they're hosting Syracuse. I don't know if there's
no chance.
Yeah, I don't think there's a great chance for them to be upset. The rest of the schedule is at NC State, which NC State beat Virginia, so maybe.
Yep.
At Boston College, they're not winning that. Pitt's an interesting team. Pitt could happen. And then it's Georgia. So, I mean, they could have 2 losses through that stretch potentially, but that's going to require multiple upsets, first off, and maybe a little bit of craziness. So I'm a little worried about Georgia Tech in that scenario, and we'll see what that looks like. But in the end, I think you root for Virginia to take one of those losses at some point. If Syracuse is able to make it a game against Georgia Tech, you root for that. I don't know. Could happen. But other than that, you're rooting for just upsets across the board in the ACC.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's pretty much right. I think that's going to work out to where only 2 will have a chance, but you'd hate it to look like 3 that they pare down to 2, because we really just want it to be 1. And, that may mean, Georgia Tech, like maybe Miami takes another loss, but maybe Georgia Tech wins the ACC championship. There's still ways for that to go correct for SEC hopefuls. But yeah, the easy thing is like, let's pin 1 on Virginia to get them out of the conversation.
Yeah, and if you're hoping for Miami to eventually get to 3 losses, could happen.
I'm including the ACC. Well, they don't need 3. Miami doesn't need a third one. If they miss the ACC championship at 10-2,
that's where I disagree. I think Miami
who
does.
who have they beaten that gives you enough of a, like they beat Notre Dame,
beat South Florida, beat Florida State, all within that same stretch. They beat Notre Dame, obviously. The only loss is not a terrible one. It's a 3-point loss to Louisville. I think
any team they could still lose to is going to look pretty bad.
But the baked-in ranking before the season matters here. So,
well, let's see the CFP because we don't have one yet. You're right, but that might go away,
I understand that. We have no idea how that'll look, but I just think it is beneficial. It is easier to leave out a 2-loss Virginia than it is to leave a 2-loss Miami out. I think we can both agree on that.
I do agree on that, but I don't think it's a given that a 2-loss Miami makes it in over a 2-loss any of those SEC hopefuls at 10-2. I just think the schedule, the resume will be better. And they'll keep those SEC teams that get to that number will keep getting better in their ranking because they'll beat good teams to jump. Miami's just got to jump by virtue of not losing. I think the committee looking at strength of schedule in November, SEC teams that win will see a jump in their CFP ranking.
Okay. Again, very interesting to see what that first ranking will look like. Call or text us at 875-KTGR if you want to weigh in on teams that you're rooting for across the country to help out Mizzou's sake. One more?
Last one for the Big 12, Iowa State, BYU. We want BYU to take an L at some point. Is it fine to come here?
What's Iowa State's record again? They're 2-2.
That's the thing. Yeah, I think they've got 2 losses. So, yes.
And they get some interesting ones down the line too. It could happen again for them. I think you're right. Yeah, do it. Yeah, pull that trigger if you can. If you could press that button and give BYU a loss there, I think you do.
And they're favored. The Cyclones are -2.5, so that would be a game to watch.
It also scares me because BYU has won these games such a weird way, and
as an underdog. Yep.
And they're frustrating. 875-5847. Give us a call or a text. So tell us who you're rooting for. Tell us your score predictions for Mizzou and Vandy. And in the meantime, we'll have our picks of the week at 5:45, but also quickly get our thoughts in on the exhibition tonight for Mizzou men's basketball taking on Kansas State. That's next.
Breaking down the Tigers, Cardinals, Chiefs, and more like no one else. The Big Show continues next on KTGR.
Hi, everyone. Andy Humphrey here for ProfitShares.com. If you like sports, if you like predicting what's going to happen in sports, and you like winning gift cards or donating to several great nonprofits, well, join ProfitShares.com. You can do all 3, and you can do it all for free. That's right. A lot of sites make you pay to make sports picks, but here you don't have to pay anything. You can just sign up. They'll give you an allotment of what they call profit dollars to then use to enter into weekly contests. The better you do in those contests, the more profit dollars that you earn, and you can use those to redeem for gift cards to places like Amazon, Chick-fil-A, Chipotle, Target, or you can use them to make a charitable donation on your behalf to several great nonprofit organizations. Plus, you get the bragging rights of being the best sports predictor out there. So go to ProfitShares.com. That's PROPHET, shares.com. Sign up, invite your friends, and do it quick so you can enter into the weekly contest for football this weekend. ProfitShares.com.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code HEAT to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code HEAT for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code HEAT for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Hi, I'm Tristan Colon, Mizzou grad and 6-year NFL veteran.
I'm Charlie Stickland,
And I'm Sarah Stickland McDonald of the Stickland & Stickland Injury Law Firm.
In football, home field advantage can make all the difference.
The same is true when choosing your injury lawyer.
We're locals. We know the courts, we know the towns, we know the people.
Just as I protect my team on the field,
Our family will protect your family.
When sorry just doesn't cut it.
Push back with Stickland & Stickland.
Winter's on the way, so now's the time to plan your tree pruning. Here's why. In winter, trees are dormant, which means there's less risk of disease. Plus, without all those leaves, it's way easier to see exactly what needs trimming. The educated, licensed, insured, and experienced crew at Advanced Tree Solutions knows how to protect your trees and your wallet. But spots are filling fast, so schedule your winter pruning today at AdvancedTreeSolutionsLLC.com. Advanced Tree Solutions, LLC, your tree's best friend.
Pro Designs, but better than a billboard.
Hey, this is Jimmy with Pro Designs, and maybe you've heard, we're the vehicle wrap specialist, but branding your business doesn't stop there. At Pro Designs, we can wrap your walls, windows, even floors.
Go to ProDesigns.com.
Come see them at their locations in Eldon or Columbia off Rangeline Street and I-70.
Pro Designs, but better than a billboard. Your daily fix of local sports lives here. This is The Big Show on KTGR.
Mizzou-Vandy, we're getting ready for it here on The Big Show, KTGR and the KTGR app. Tomorrow, kickoff at 2:30. Yingling Tiger Game Day Show begins at 11:30. Scott texting in, I think the Mizzou-Vandy game will come down to the punt count. Whoever has the least number of punts will win the game. I mean, potentially. I think usually that's the case, but I think what's more instructive is red zone opportunities, explosive plays. I think also, like, if you can maybe shorten down a possession and get points out of it more quickly in a game that could end with both teams getting above 27 points potentially, that also could really help you out in a game like this.
Yeah, I'm sticking with fourth downs in red zone, and I think those are potentially going to be one and the same in some spots as well. But I like the punt thing too. Like, I think it's going to be interesting to see what does Eli Drinkwitz do on 4th and 4 from the 48 before crossing midfield. You know, like, you're going to play field position when your puncher may only get you to the 25, and then it's like Pavi is a play and a half from being at midfield, or you got to try to hold on to that football, because I think Vandy's going to be aggressive in those spots, and you may have to match them.
All right, so tonight, Mizzou men's basketball plays an exhibition against Kansas State. Pretty fun that you get this matchup going for, just a tune-up game. Both teams get to show what they can do and maybe test out some rotations against another Power 5 team. And I'm interested to see what can happen tonight. One player, Brendan, that you are looking forward to maybe seeing the most that we don't know enough about at the moment.
Oh my gosh. For me, it's probably Boateng, because we thought we were going to see so much of him last year as one of the highly rated recruits from that class, and then we just didn't, whether it was, and they didn't give a lot of information during the year about health status and is a guy hurt, what's the case. But I think if we could look back and say, was he kind of dealing with different things and it got to a point in the season where they didn't want to overly expose him? All right, but could he still be somebody that plays a role? I'd like to see him a little bit. This isn't obviously a game that counts, but any opportunity to kind of see what they've been working on, who's been going through some growth and some progression, I'm excited for that.
That's definitely an intriguing one. There has been a lot of talk around Sean Phillips, it seems, this offseason. Guys who have gotten to watch practice a little bit. Some of the reporters, I know Drew King at PowerMizzou.com has gotten to see it a little bit. Obviously very plugged in. Seems that Sean Phillips is just starting to really show his athleticism, and it's the type of athleticism that Mizzou, like outside of Mark Mitchell, who obviously kind of plays that position, but he is more of like a little bit inside out as a power forward. When it comes to a center that can give you some upside, especially on the offensive end, they were maybe missing a little bit of that last year. Josh Gray was okay at times, but a lot of the time he's just out there for rebounding. I think Sean Phillips can get you a similar level of rebounding that Josh Gray did, with the added upside of the lob potential on the weak side, the cleaning up offensive rebounds, turning them into more chances. This is an element that I think was missing a little bit from Mizzou last year, and I'm interested to see what this addition does to it.
Yeah, I agree with that, and especially knowing the situation surrounding Trent Burns and just understanding that he's not going to be a factor early in the season makes you wonder, like, can they get some production from some other big gentlemen underneath the rim? And, this was a guy that has some experience, really did, once he got some playing time, start to take off last year, and then Mizzou lands him in the portal. And so you're certainly hoping that Phillips can be that, because it's kind of been a bugaboo a little bit for these Dennis Gates teams to have that true consistency from the 5 spot.
Yeah, and rebounding in particular. Like, it got better last year. You could see them taking strides there, but they were clearly outclassed in a few key games last season in that department too. So they added a ton of length this year. I mean, it's also guys that will be playing on the outside. I mean, Jacob Cruz back. Javon Porter could be very interesting. His shooting ability, I think, could be very key for Mizzou as they try to replace some shooting from last season that they lost. And so a lot to maybe get the first glimpse of in a game that won't count, but obviously intriguing when you play a team like Kansas State. So if you want to listen to it, it's on 96.7 KCMQ tonight. Tip off at 9 p.m. Coverage begins at 8:30 over on KCMQ. Of course, you can watch it as well. You can head out to Mizzou Arena if you want to also, if you want the late night. So we'll see how that goes for Mizzou before their season opener officially Monday, November 3rd at Howard. All right, picks of the week are next. Can the producers bounce back from 0-5 last week? Yikes. We'll see if they can do that next.
Now, your local Sports Center update on your total sports station, KTGR.
Good afternoon. I'm Andy Humphrey. This Sports Center update is with Lee's Tire Company. If it's round and rubber, Lee sells it. Lee'sTireCompany.com. Mizzou's second top 10 opponent in the last 3 games is who they'll be visiting this weekend, the Vanderbilt Commodores, for a 2:30 kickoff at First Bank Stadium in Nashville tomorrow afternoon. Tigers going for their 6th consecutive win head-to-head against Vanderbilt and their 3rd straight win in Nashville. Both teams come in 6-1 overall and 2-1 in the SEC. Again, kickoff at 2:30 tomorrow. We'll start our coverage on KTGR with the Yuengling Tiger Game Day show at 11:30. Mizzou men's basketball with an exhibition game against Kansas State tonight, facing off against their old Big 8 and Big 12 conference foe in an exhibition-style game. Tip-off at 9 p.m. this evening. Coverage begins at 8:30 on 96.7 KCMQ. Mizzou's official regular season opener will be at Howard on Monday, November 3rd. And the Chiefs did not have Josh Simmons at practice again due to personal reasons today. Trey Smith missed practice for the 2nd straight day with a back injury. Kareem Hunt limited with an ankle injury. Chiefs set to take on the Washington Commanders for Monday Night Football next week. Now your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast.
I'm Storm Track meteorologist Sawyer Jackson, and you'll want to break out the rain gear this weekend, as I am tracking scattered light showers at least starting up tonight and then becoming a bit more present by the time we get to the afternoon hours tomorrow. These shower chances will really last until the start of next week, so you'll want to keep that rain gear handy. You also might want a warm layer heading out the doors. Temperatures each afternoon are only set to warm into the upper 50s. I'm Storm Track meteorologist Sawyer Jackson, and that's your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast on your total sports station, KTGR.
All the hard hits.
He's under pressure, and down he goes. Inside the 20-yard line.
All the jaw-dropping moments.
Makes a man miss. 30, 20, near sideline, 10, 5, touchdown.
KTGR is your home for the high school football game of the week.
Oh, my goodness. Join us this weekend as the Rockbridge Bruins host the Francis Howell Vikings.
Coverage starts with high school kickoff Friday night at 6 on Mid-Missouri's total sports station, KTGR.
Hi, everyone. Andy Humphrey here for Lee's Tire Company. They are round for you, and if it's round and rubber, Lee's sells it. They want to also remind you that it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and all this month they are bringing back their Breaks for Breasts campaign. What this means is that you can get a qualifying brake job at Lee's Tire Company all throughout this month, and you can either get $40 back or you can donate that $40 to breast cancer research. And on top of that, Lee's Tire Company will match that $40 donation. Just another way that Lee's Tire Company not only knows how to get you the right tires, how to work on everything else on your vehicle, but also help make a difference, especially during this month as we try to fight that nasty disease called cancer. So again, if you get a qualifying brake job at Lee's Tire Company at any of their 3 locations, 2 of them in Columbia, 1 in Centralia, you can either get $40 back or donate $40 to breast cancer research, all during the Brakes for Breast campaign at Lee's Tire Company. If it's round and rubber, Lee's sells it. Go to leestirecompany.com.
There's no one-size-fits-all when it comes to football weekends, and that's what makes Yuenglings such a great pick. From traditional lager to light lager, flight, golden pilsner, and black and tan, they brew a beer for everyone's taste. Whether you're manning the grill, setting up the tailgate, or just watching with friends, Yuenglings got a flavor that fits the moment. Brewed with nearly 200 years of tradition by the oldest brewery in America, Yuengling. Legends stand the test of time. DG Yuengling & Son, Pottsville, Pennsylvania.
This is Kim with Hearing Aid Consultants. I am truly honored to be voted Jefferson City's best, and that wouldn't have happened without our genuine and outstanding patients. We focus on continually serving those struggling with hearing loss with the best value in hearing aid technology in the area. If you are interested in a comprehensive hearing evaluation and solutions, please see us in Jefferson City, Hearing Aid Consultants in Allmake Repair Lab. We are here for you today so you can hear tomorrow. HearingAidConsultants.com.
You know your former golf bag? It's not just holding up the weed whacker on your garage wall. It's also holding cash. Same goes for that rowing machine you swore you'd use once. At Play It Again Sports, turn your gently used gear into money in your pocket. Bring in your old golf equipment, fitness gear, softball bats, baseball cleats, and more. Cash out and keep it, or trade up to something better. Play It Again Sports in Columbia. Think of them first so you don't finish last. Play It Again Sports, ColumbiaMo.com.
From elegant weddings to corporate lunches with flavor and flair, Courtyard by Marriott Columbia brings the party and the pros. It's the home of Main Event Catering, and with every event, you'll get an award-winning chef, full banquet staff, and drop-and-go options for any size crowd. And the event center holds up to 300 guests with 8 flexible rooms. If you need help, there's a Marriott certified wedding coordinator on staff too. Book now by calling 573-443-8000.
On game day, every needs a. And every tailgate needs Kingsford charcoal. And a match. Whatever lot you're in, whatever you're grilling up for your fellow Tiger tailgaters, Kingsford charcoal is the official charcoal of Missouri football. Without it, you're just standing around in a parking lot. Since 1920, Kingsford has been proud to fire up your tailgates with friends and family. Kingsford.com.
The best local sports talk around on your ride home. You've got The Big Show on KTGR.
Back here on The Big Show, KTGR and the KTGR app. Andy, Brendan, and producer Ben here getting set for the picks of the week with college football and NFL upon us once again. From last week, good week for Brendan and myself. 4-1 for both of us. Hey, we'll take that.
We will take that, Fonzie. Yes, we will.
Yeah, and, producers.
That was a rough one.
Ouch.
It was a rough one. Can we not even say producers? Because we know that this was all Ben.
Yeah, this was all me.
Redemption.
This was all me.
Oh, it was all Ben.
I will fully wear this on my sleeve. I'll put my hand up. That was me. I've regrouped with producer Billy. Talked with him about everything. And he was like, you know what? I got the utmost confidence in you this week. That's why we're putting you back out there. So, and as I said earlier in the week, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So we just got to claw our way back. Can't get it all back in 1 week. But I've talked with him about some picks. So where I think we're kind of on the same wavelength for this week.
Very interesting. I wonder how that dynamic will go if there are back-to-back bad weeks.
I think we let him. I don't know, Andy, if you were going to pick the order or if I was, because we tied. I think we let the producers go first.
I'm
That's really the only
hot
take that I have, just to see what they come up with.
No, I think we can let them go first, and then you can go second. I'll go last.
Interesting. I haven't gone second often. This might shake up my mojo, but we'll try it.
All right. Well, here are the college football games that we are picking from. Ole Miss at Oklahoma, UCLA at Indiana, Auburn at Arkansas, Alabama at South Carolina, Illinois at Washington, Texas at Mississippi State, Texas A&M at LSU, and Mizzou at Vanderbilt. Then the NFL games, Giants at Eagles, Bills at Panthers, 49ers at Texans, Bears at Ravens, Browns at Patriots, Cowboys at Broncos, Packers at Steelers, and then Commanders at Chiefs on Monday night. Start us off, producers.
All right, this will be a pick that me and Billy talked about. We both like on this one. Give us LSU plus 2.5 against Texas A&M at home. Look, Texas A&M has played a lot of close games this year, and I said last week that they're going to falter at some point. I just don't know when. I think it's this week in Death Valley.
I hope you're right. I mean,
me too.
I would welcome that. We'll see if it actually happens. I will stay in college as well.
What happened here? You said I could go.
Oh, you're right.
Oh.
Sorry. Yeah, that's my bad.
I was worried. The reason I was like being a little antsy about it is because I really want to fade the producers. I think Texas A&M is one of those lines where, okay, Death Valley at night, why is LSU an underdog? There's probably a reason. I'm just going to lean into whatever that reason is and take the Aggies minus 2.5.
See, I was thinking about doing that later, but
didn't give it the chance.
No, yeah, there you go. Instead, I'll go to the line to me that did not make the most sense, and that's why I'm going to take a side on it. I'm going to take Ole Miss plus 5.5 on the road against Oklahoma. Now, that might also be one of those situations where, well, what does Vegas know that I don't? But I firmly believe that that's a close game that comes down to the wire. Oklahoma, I'm not sure if they will score enough to get to a requisite number that makes you feel comfortable about covering that 5.5. I think Ole Miss's offense at least has the ability to come back, create a drive that maybe makes it a one-score game, even if they end up losing the game. I could see them very easily losing by 3 or 4 at Oklahoma, but I'll take the plus 5.5 on the Ole Miss side.
Totally agree. That is a weird number to me as well. I like your pick.
All right, producers.
All right, I'll flip to the NFL with this next pick, and let me take the Bills. They've coming off a really embarrassing loss against the Falcons. They got a week to regroup with the bye week. I think they head into Carolina. Carolina's played a lot of teams close, but I think the Bills get back on the right track this week.
Yeah, that's Bills minus 7 on the road, but that feels like off a bye, off 2 straight losses. Buffalo is going to be out for some blood. I like that one. Okay. Yeah, Andy's Ole Miss pick probably would have been my second choice. I'm going to say, boy, oh boy. I've said it, guys. I don't think I can take South Carolina again until I see him do it once. And Alabama's the better team. I mean, South Carolina just lost by 19 at home to Oklahoma. I think Alabama's better than the Sooners. We look at these type of numbers every week and say, oh, maybe, you never know. Trap game. I'm just not doing it this time. Give me Alabama minus 11.5 on the road.
I think that's right. Yeah, we're doing our picks of the week here on the Big Show, KTGR, and the KTGR app. Nobody's done it yet. I'll do it. I'll take Mizzou plus 2.5. Yeah.
It's a good number. I mean, even if it doesn't work out, it's a good number, and so I can't fault you there.
All right. So that's off the board. Round 3 beginning. Producers.
All right. I'll stay in the NFL realm here, and I really like the Broncos this week against the Cowboys. The Cowboys are just very ebb and flow kind of team. They go up and they go down. They have a good week and they'll have a bad week. They looked really impressive against Washington last week, and I think they'll fall flat on their face. I think the Broncos will prove that they're the better team out there. I think they have the game at home. It's minus 3.5. I wouldn't be surprised if this one gets out of hand. I think they win by about a touchdown or so.
Okay. I'm uncomfortable with how many favorites I'm taking this week, but there's a favorite in the NFL that, again, I'm spying for these numbers that you kind of scratch your head about, but my goal has been to lean into those and say, I don't love that number. I'm taking it anyway. Ravens minus 6.5 against the Bears. Like, the Bears have won the good amount of games this year. The Ravens haven't, but it feels like the spot where the Ravens, if they're going to turn around their season, it has to start here. So at home, there's just something about that line that feels like it should be more like 3.5, and the fact that it's not, I'm going to lean into what looks like a bad line and take the Ravens minus 6.5. My third favorite in a row, which is not typically my style.
Yeah, that's also one that I was kind of confused by. I don't know why that number isn't smaller. I understand Lamar Jackson's back, but
like I completely agree with you. And that's why I'm almost like basically saying I don't know as much as Vegas. So give me the number, the wrong side of the number, basically, from what I believe.
Well, here's where I believe I am smarter than Vegas. I don't know why they're favoring the Texans -2.5 at home against the 49ers. Like that makes no sense.
You poor guy.
That makes no
you might be right
sense.
this time.
Like in order for the Texans to cover that number, you do realize that it requires them to score points.
They have to score at least 3 points.
Yeah. So I don't think they're doing. They might score 3.
Defense
give
can
them
score
that.
7. They have defensive touchdowns.
At least they got one guy that can score touchdowns in the top 3 of that draft that they got. All right, I'll take the 49ers +2.5 on the road.
Fair enough. Producers?
Yeah. I'll flip back to the college realm, and this is a game that I've kind of looked at for weeks now. I really like this team. The number's kind of weird here, but I just really like them to pull it out. Give me Washington at home against Illinois. I said at the start of the year that Illinois is just kind of, I don't really know how to feel about them. And I looked at that game on the road. You have to travel multiple time zones over. Just a weird situation. And Illinois has kind of had a decent year, but the teams that they've lost to have been kind of, they've just lost in very embarrassing fashions. And I think this might be their nail in the coffin. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Huskies pull this one out.
I'm rooting for Washington to not only win but cover. I'm just tired of hearing from Illinois fans who think that despite the 53-point loss to Indiana, they have something to stand on. It's ridiculous.
I 100% agree.
Go Huskies in that matchup. Speaking of UCLA, Indiana, let me pick that game. I was a victim last week of the Michigan State late field goal that earned Michigan State the cover against Indiana.
Oh.
And it's like, I know Indiana's going to win this game by 20-something points, but I also kind of want to ride the wave with this UCLA thing. And maybe this is where they turn back into a pumpkin. But this is such a big number that I'm kind of like, yeah, if it's a 10-point game at halftime, you're still in it. So I'm going to actually take the Bruins on the road. I don't love it, but it feels like we're dodging landmines right now with the rest of the board in the college football realm. So I'm just going to go with what I think would be kind of a fun outcome if UCLA can continue its strong run since firing their coach. +25.5. I'm going with the Bruins on the road to keep it at least respectable in Bloomington.
Hey, that's a good amount of points, man. Like that probably is.
It's a ton for a team that's playing well. So I'm like, I know Indiana's. This is not a doubt Indiana pick. It's I just think it's a pretty lofty number.
Late in the game, they'll start letting up at one point, and UCLA will take advantage. So I like that too. During our picks of the week here on the Big Show, KTGR and the KTGR app, I made this mistake last week. I will not make the mistake again. The Chiefs will blast the Commanders this weekend.
You're probably
Monday
right.
night. -12.5. They were -12 against the Raiders last weekend. I understand the Raiders stink, but the Commanders
might stink.
Put up a fight. They might stink. I know they stink
Especially
without
their
Jaden
quarterback.
Daniels. Yeah. And I don't know what weapons they'll have available for Marcus Mariota in that game. I know Chiefs fans are kind of, the nostalgia in them. It's not necessarily nostalgia, but they're kind of scared of Marcus Mariota a little bit because of what he's done in games past. But
yeah, he doesn't need weapons. He can throw to himself.
Exactly. Yeah, that's very true. So, but I'll still say the Chiefs, they have found their new gear. They now are able to cover these big numbers once again. So I will not miss out on them covering this big number. Give me the Chiefs.
Yeah, you bring up an interesting fade opportunity with the Commanders only because of what Marcus Mariota has done to the Chiefs.
Do it.
And the Chiefs pass. And
I'll even goad them on too.
Yeah.
I think I'll stay away from it because I kind of agree with you, Andy. I wouldn't be surprised if this game gets out of hand very quickly. So I'll stay away from that one. I'll stay in the college realm for my last pick. And this team's been close to pulling off some upsets, especially at home. There's probably a handful that they probably should have won already in conference play.
What you're about to say.
And
I'm not going to like what he's about to say.
I know you're not going to, but Mississippi State is just interesting. They're +7 at home against Texas, and they've had a lot of really close games that I thought they probably could have pulled out, and they were just a play or two away, just not getting it. So maybe not necessarily to win, but I think they keep it interestingly close against Texas. So give me Mississippi State +7 at home against the Longhorns.
I was worried you were going to take my team because you're describing a lot of elements of the team that I'm going to pick here. But the team that I'm picking is actually favored. It's the stink bowl between Arkansas and Auburn, but I don't think either of these teams are truly terrible. I think you have a truly top 5 offense in the country taking on what I consider to be a top 10 or 12 defense in the country. But I'm going to lean with the home team in the offense of Arkansas. I just don't know that even against Arkansas's bad defense, and believe me, they might be the worst defense in the SEC. I don't think Auburn is capable of scoring with Arkansas. So I'm going to lean into it a little bit. Give me Arkansas -2.5. We shall see. The loser of that game probably drops to the very bottom of our tiers, Andy, potentially, but it could be an interesting game.
That's a key win for bowl eligibility for both. You'd have to think, right? For both of those teams.
I would think so, yeah.
Yeah, so it is big for both of them, but that's the side that I think is the right one for you, Brendan. So I won't go to the other side. I don't like anything in the college that's left at the moment, so I basically have to pick an NFL thing that I kind of like, but maybe I'm not all that crazy about. You know what? I'll fade the producers on the Broncos. Give me the Cowboys +3.5.
That's the correct pick.
Yeah,
yes.
the offense is live. I think every single week you can expect that to show up. I don't know what they'll do defensively each and every week. That's why they implode at times. But I think the Cowboys will put up a bunch of points and quite possibly win that game on the road against the Broncos. So that's how we will close out this edition of the Picks of the Week. I thought we all did very well. I don't think the producers are going over.
At least hope we get one.
They've got some games that I like the pick, but the picks terrify me. I love the Bills pick. Mississippi State. I'm hoping you're right, but
yeah,
this could be like a 2 and 3 for the producers. Because I did fade you directly on that A&M pick, and I feel relatively confident about that one. So we'll see. This will be a fun week, though.
All right. So those are our picks of the week. They'll be on our social channels, and be sure to recap them on Monday as we talk more college football and NFL. And we get you set, of course, for Mizzou-Vanderbilt. Don't forget Yingling Tiger Game Day show at 11:30 tomorrow. And be sure to join us at the Deuce Pub and Pit for our watch party powered by Yingling at 2:30 for kickoff between Mizzou and Vanderbilt. And stay tuned in a few minutes. Our high school football game of the week comes your way next. Rockbridge and Francis Howell in the regular season finale. That's coming up very soon. He's Brendan. He's producer Ben. I'm Andy. We're done for now.
It was 2:30 on a Tuesday when the phone rang. Brian Ware Plumbing answered the call. It was a dismayed wife. Fresh off vacation, her and her hubby came home to a wrecked water heater. It had sprung a leak. A bad one. So while the plumbing team took care of that leaky water heater, Brian's certified restoration guide, Josh, with 2 decades of experience, came in to restore the area and stop mold in its tracks. Another day, another job, another expert added to the team. Ho hum. Better call Brian and